I have the privilege today to interview a TED Talk speaker. I'm super excited. Her name is Punam Saxena, and her speech or her talk was about the key to enhancing student success. And you have to hear what she says because it is not what you think it's all about. It's not about the academics, which is shocking. But she has a bachelor's in psychology, a master's in education. I love this title, Parent Impact Coach. She's a mother, so she knows from experience. She's the author of Parent Power, Navigate School and Beyond, a podcaster. And this is why I just really wanted to have her on the Letting Go with Aloha series. It is the fact that she focuses on bridging the gap and just fostering stronger relationships between parents and schools. And this is the key, right? Empowering parents to become partners instead of possibly, I don't know if you sometimes might call us parents dictators when we think we're doing the best, but we might be a little bit, I don't know,
No.
strong-willed. I know I did the best that I could, and she's going to talk about that. But we all want our children to succeed. Why do we do what we do, and what is the key to student success? Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, it is such an honor, Karen. Thank you so much. When we chatted the first time, I was like, oh my gosh, my kindred spirit.
Yes.
Because we have such similar approaches to how we want our children to be, how we want our students to be. And yet we're also able to step outside of our parent role and say, wow, we could be doing this so much better. So the key to enhancing student success is, you're right, it's not schools, it's not academics, it's not teachers, it's not the bureaucracy, it's not the testing. It's you and I, it's parents. We have, as parents, to be as involved in our children's education as our teachers and administrators are. But there's a caveat. You can't be, like you said, I don't want to use the word dictator.
Yeah, that was a little harsh. It just came out.
How about helicopter parent?
Yes.
We all want our children to succeed. We all want them to do well. We want them to exceed wherever we have landed in our professional careers. But they're still children. And so we have to remember that these young people are being molded by the environment that they're in. So if we are helicoptering them, that's all they know. If they don't see us having fun and we're just constantly telling them, you need to write, X, Y, or Z at your school to get a letter of recommendation. Have you done it? Have you done it? Have you done it? That's not really a positive environment. So you can do the same thing in a very different way. You can say, let's say on Sunday afternoon, I'm picking an arbitrary day. You sit down with your child and go, okay, let's talk about our schedule for the week. I have this, this, and this. What do you have? These are the things that I would like for you to put on your to-do list for the week. I'd like for you to email your economics teacher and ask for a letter of recommendation. Do you think you can get that done between now and Friday? So much more positive of an approach, but you're also making the child responsible and you're giving them autonomy to choose when it's the best time.
True.
And that's just like when we go to work. We have a deadline that is 2 months out, okay? Well, we hope our boss is not standing over us for the entire 2 months, micromanaging us. We've got it. If you didn't think we could do it, we shouldn't be at the job. So we've got to be able to allow our children to understand timeliness, but also be engaged with them in a conversation and not tell them. And I also want to say, Karen, I am guilty of everything I'm telling you.
Me too.
So, I don't want anyone in your audience to think that I am this perfect parent. Absolutely not. I have done everything that I'm telling you to do, but I have learned from my own errors. But it is important because our children are facing an unprecedented amount of stress and anxiety. They've had 2 years of COVID and the uncertainty. They've had the mental strains and the social, I don't want to say regression, but stagnation of rules. Have I lost you here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I thought I lost you for a second, but it's been an emotional stagnation and social stagnation of our children's personal development. So we have to be a little more cautious when we're talking to our children. But parents can't also stand back and do nothing. So many parents are like, oh, they're going to miss Karen. She'll take care of it. I don't have to do anything. Well, yes, Miss Karen will take care of it, but it is also important for the parent to understand what Miss Karen is doing so that you can supplement and support and provide feedback, because children are only with their teachers or support team for a very short period of time. Parents are seeing them every day. So you also cannot have the other extreme. So there is a fine line of parent engagement. You don't want to be the bully, you want to be the partner. And the way to be a partner is to begin to develop relationships like they're your friends. Your teachers are your friends. I mean,
Is there a fine line though between friendship and, I mean, you know how some people say, "Wait, I'm a parent, I'm not your friend." But what do you think about, like, what's the blurred line?
I am
Are you there?
sorry, Karen, I missed all of that. I don't
Oh, I'm
know
sorry.
what's
Yeah,
going
there's
on
just
with.
a, I think there's a little delay, but I can hear you. I was saying that, you know how sometimes parents say, I want to be my child's friend, and then other people say I mean, there is a fine line, because once they're your friend, then sometimes they feel like they have a little more leeway, and they don't really, it's like, hey, come on, let that slide, because we're connected. But then, like you said, we do have that role. Can you explain the difference between that fine line?
I think the first thing the child needs to understand is that the parent is their ally.
That's what it is. Yeah, ally. I like that.
You want them to come to you with any issues, because you don't want them to go to their friends and get information that may not be accurate. You want to know what's going on with them. So you need to develop that allyship. And yes, I wanted to be my children's friends, but I was their mom I am their mom first.
Mm-hmm.
And I always tell them, listen, I'm always going to tell you from an adult perspective who has traveled this journey that this may not be the best way to align yourself. But I'm willing to hear why you think your way is good. And then let's talk about it. You always want to validate the child. You don't want to shut them out, because their point of view may actually be better than yours.
So the
And I've had
mindset, right?
it's the mindset, and it's not seeing them as equal because you still have authority over them, but it's building that relationship of trust. And so my children always knew that I was on their side. Now, did I have to go all mom on them? Absolutely. Yes, you need to eat your vegetables. Yes, you need to get your homework done. No, you can't be on your phone, those types of things. But when we could have fun, we had fun. We would play games, or we would, go get a milkshake or whatever, so that they knew that I was that there was a time and a place for everything.
I think that's what's missing. That feeling like your parent is an ally, because a lot of my students, and I had two in a row, a 6-year-old and a 9-year-old, say, they didn't like life. They're like, hate my life, I hate my life, I hate my life. And then I thought, is it school? And they said, no, I don't like being yelled at all the time. And then you realize I think parents have forgotten the importance of being an ally. You don't have to be that. You can still be a parent, but not what did we lose? Is it just the stress of wanting them to succeed, or what's I think it's gotten really, really progressively worse, don't you think? I mean,
Absolutely.
5-year-olds should not be stressing.
Oh my goodness. I agree. I think what has happened is that parents are so busy and so inundated with what they have to accomplish and their responsibilities. And especially in the current climate where, prices are going up and, there's a lot more pressure to maintain the lifestyle that everyone has become accustomed to. So they're feeling that pressure. And who's the easiest target? It's your child. And again, I am guilty of this. So I don't want anyone to think out there that I did not take my stress out on my kids. But the one thing that I did that I do think is important to recognize is I always apologized to my children. And I would always apologize, not for what I said, but the way I said it. Because what I was frustrated about, or what I needed them to do, was really important, but my delivery was not there. And so I needed to apologize for that, because A, I feel guilty,
Hmm.
but B, I want them to know that it's okay to mess up,
Yes.
that adults mess up, and it's okay to own it and to move on, because I think that creates a healthier relationship in the long run.
Well, many of us don't know how to apologize, right? I mean, they were taught. I notice a lot of my children, you made me make a mistake, and I'm just, I'm in Zoom, or I'm just sitting across from them, but they blame you for, I don't know, making a wrong, number, or writing the wrong word, and you just, think, okay.
Well, they're children, right? They should not be saying that, first of all. But they're wired, they are becoming wired that everything has to be perfect.
Oh, yes.
Everything is 100, everything is an A. I have to excel at everything I try. I can't not like a sport because I'm supposed to be the best at it. And, I use this as an example, and you and I were talking that I'm a long distance runner. There has not been one Indian marathoner who has won the New York City Marathon. Not one. And that's okay. We don't have to be the best at that.
Right.
But that doesn't mean I should stop running because I like running. And so a child can't be expected to be perfect or excel in every subject. It's not humanly possible. And so it's okay for them to excel where their strengths are, and to encourage them to work hard in those that they struggle with. It's okay. That B is going to be just fine. I know I said it. I said it out loud. The B is okay.
Well, you know what happens is when they bring that C, but if it's a really difficult class and they just, I did really, really bad on my report card, and you think that it was a D, and they're like, yeah, I got a C, and then the dad's behind them, yeah, you better start, and it's like a difficult geometry class, maybe math isn't their strength, and they're just
Right.
feeling so like a failure as a human, you know?
Yes. So I think, I don't know if I've shared this story with you, but I'll share it now. So my son doesn't mind that I share this. When my son was in 8th grade, my older son, he got an 89 9B in his math class. I know, the horror, right?
And what is 1%?
Oh, well, 1%. And so I told him, on the way home, I said, listen, I'm grounding you. And he goes, really? You're grounding me for a B? And I said, yeah. And he said, well, most people will be happy with that. I said, okay, well, let's step back from the grade. Take the number out. Did you work in this class? Well, kind of. Did you put your best effort into it? No. Did you study like you should have to the best of your capability? And he said, no. I said, that's why I'm grounding you. I'm not grounding you for the grade. I'm grounding you for the effort. And there's a huge difference because, and I told him, you could have gotten a 69D, but if you put in your best effort, and I had seen that, I would have taken you out, for ice cream. I know we love ice cream in our house, milkshakes, ice cream, we just love it. But I would have applauded him for that effort. So we have to get away from the number and the grade and look at the capability with the effort, because that's where success lies. It doesn't lie in the grade. Nobody asks you when you apply for your job what you got in algebra in high school. Not one person, no one cares. But they want to see your work ethic. And now, even more so, they're looking for soft skills, social skills, interactive skills, team building skills. They're looking for how you integrate well into their team. And so having, and I say this as a business owner, I would much rather have a C student who can interact and work well and work hard than have an A student who has no ability to connect with potential clients and other businesses. So we have to step out of that, and parents play that role. It goes back to the key to enhancing student success. Parents play that role, and parents have to model what they want to see in their child. So if you're yelling at your child, guess what your child is going to do to his colleagues at work and to their children when they have children?
That's pretty powerful when you think about that, just that alone.
It's cyclical. You think about, you look at, and this is a kind of depressing statistic, but when you look at the prison population and you look at the backgrounds that they came from, they're not, let me rephrase this, most people are behaving in a manner that is commensurate to their upbringing.
Wow.
Now, think about that.
Yeah.
If your parent, one of your parents is a drug addict, that's the only thing you know. And so you think that's normal. And so we have to step out of what we think we want for our children. We have to model to their strengths. And again,
their strengths. I like how you said that, because sometimes I don't want to, I'm not really good at, well, you're going to be taking off, all of the math. In Hawaii, there's just 3 years required, and they want, algebra in 8th grade, so they can start with geometry, so they can go through the statistics and the trig and calculus and everything. And they're like, but I don't like math. Well, you need math, because in order to, and they just have the parental goals, not
right. The perennial dance mom, right, for academics.
Oh, yes. I love that. I love that phrase.
If you don't take calculus A, B, C, and D, then you're not going to get into Harvard or MIT or, Cal Poly or, wherever. Okay, but that's not the only university out there. And, we all, again, we have those lofty goals for our children. We want them in these rigorous programs, but that's not always the best fit for them. And when mine were going to college, we had a very niche set of universities that we wanted them to look at. They didn't go to them because it wasn't the right fit. It wasn't going to make them happy.
Let's end with that because I notice a lot of my students' moms, when they start going into ninth grade, they want private school. Their daughter, who I know will excel no matter where she goes, begged her mom, please, I want to stay at, it's a particular public school in her district. And she tested for the private school, got in, and I just received a text saying, I'm going to allow her to make a decision because I want her to be happy. And I just
Oh,
thought, I said, I'm so happy. I told her that I would talk, try to talk to you about it, but I know that no matter where she goes, I guarantee you she is destined for success because of her work ethic. She just, talk about compassion and she said, thank you for, reminding me. And don't you think we should also tell them that it's okay to be frustrated, it's okay to be disappointed, and it's okay to feel that life is a struggle and
yes.
we don't realize that you know otherwise you feel guilty when you feel anything that's not positive.
Failure is such an important part of life. There's so much to learn from failure, and we are a society that doesn't allow for failure. Everything has to be higher and better and stronger and whatever, and that's not realistic. We're at a bursting of the bubble, if you will, because kids are imploding. No 6-year-old, 5-year-old should be saying, I don't like my life. I mean, come on, that's not okay. And so I read an article several years ago by this professor at Stanford, and it was a letter to the freshman parents. And I thought it was really interesting. She said, parents are failing their children because they are not teaching them how to fail. And they're coming to Stanford not understanding failure, and so they are struggling in our university. And of course, the cynical part of me said, well, lady, you quite frankly don't allow for failure. You not only have to have straight A's to get into Stanford, that's not even enough. You have to be solving, the Mideast crisis, along with curing cancer, along with, figuring out how we're going to neutralize the Russian war right now. And then maybe we'll let you in. Okay, that's not realistic. That's not okay. So we have to allow our children to fail, even if they don't go to Stanford.
Can you talk about
It's okay for them to be in.
about the gift of failure?
Say that.
Can you talk about
The
the
gift,
gift of failure?
the gift of failure is probably the greatest gifts we can give our children. And I don't mean life-altering, devastating failure. I'm talking about the C on the test is okay. Allowing them not to make the soccer team is okay. It's not the end of the world. I know your best friend's kid is on the soccer team. Maybe your child just is not going to be a Lionel Messi. It's okay. And that gift of failure teaches a couple of things. One, it teaches them that there are going to be bumps in the road. And if they don't hit a bump in the road in school and college, they absolutely will when they get into the real world and get a job. And their boss calls them in for that first evaluation and tells them, you're doing A, B, and C, great, but X, Y, and Z are not cutting it. How is your child going to cope? Which leads me to B, and it teaches our children how to cope. Coping mechanisms are crucial to life. If we don't learn how to cope, the only answer for us is we're going to implode, and we're going to have confidence issues, productivity issues, health issues, and none of those are desirable. So the earlier you instill that, the better they're going to be. And I guarantee you, they're going to be more successful in the long run, because they're going to understand that if this didn't work, I can solve it by going over here and going a different way. There's always another solution. And we have to be, as parents, willing, again, I go back to that word ally, to be an ally with our children, for our children, so that they develop those skills. But again, you have to model it.
That's probably
Talk
the most
about,
difficult, challenging, right? That's probably the hardest part of being a parent, is role modeling the behavior that you want, because once
yeah,
that frustration builds in, you just think, I had one mom just say, I'm done. I am just so done. And when your children are really little, it's like you said, if you don't know how to teach that coping mechanism, then you do implode. I love that imagery, because we don't realize that it's common though, right? Don't you think it's really common to just implode and have this mental breakdown, and then as a mom you think, oh no, I'm a failure, because you don't think you're supposed to. You don't think you're supposed to implode.
well, and I think we also, as parents, take our children's failures very personally. We
Oh
look
my
at it as
goodness.
failure as a parent. Well, maybe we could have provided more support. Maybe we could have done more preparation, but we're human too. So we have to, parenting is this whole cycle of reflection. And so you're never going to get it right all the time. Let me rephrase that. You shouldn't get it right all the time, because that means your children aren't growing, because you want your children to challenge you. And, my children did as teenagers, but I also knew that they were asking and they were pushing because they wanted to learn. They wanted to understand. And so while the teenage years can be frustrating and exhausting, and, like this mother said, I'm just dead. I can't do this anymore. Know that that's exactly how you should feel, because your child is becoming independent. And you
And that's
should feel
comforting. That's so comforting, just to know. When I told the mom that, she just thought, because you feel so alone. Like, why is, every mom is getting it. No, they're not. They look like they're getting it. They're smiling. They're saying yes. They just got these 12 scholarships, and they just got, this award for
yeah,
this. But behind the scenes, there is something that's
some
challenging, right?
the Desperate Housewives look is wonderful, but it's not normal, and it's not what's going on. I had a parent tell me, and I still remember this years ago. She goes, I want my children to be like yours. They're perfect. They get good grades and they're active in everything. And, they're always smiling. And I'm like, okay, sure. And she goes, what do you do? And I said, that's what you see. What you don't see is the fact that they may have stayed up till 3 a.m. trying to get a project done, and they're grouchy when they have to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning to get to school, and they have got to get through a whole day, and they're just spent. They're smiling through the day, but I'm telling you that it is not as rosy as it looks. And it shouldn't be as rosy as it looks. It shouldn't. Children struggle. We struggle. Life happens. That's part of growth. That's part of being a human. And that's quite frankly, part of why we're connected. We're
Wow.
connected by those moments that challenge us, not always by our successes.
I feel like I just listened to the most amazing TED Talk. Well, I think because it's so, you make it so relatable and that you can want the success, but you do need to just, I love that being an ally and just being there so that your kids know that you provide a safe place, right? One of my friends said, she doesn't see lying. She lied a lot growing up, and she said the only reason why kids lie though is because of fear. They don't want to get into trouble. But we think lying is, oh, they're naughty. They're going to end up, lying as an adult. But when you look behind, like why people lie, and then you just said if you're an ally and your kids know that you provide a safe place, they will have no reason to lie.
We want them to come to us with their struggles. We don't want them, I don't want my children to learn from another parent.
Hmm.
That it is my responsibility. And so creating that allyship, but drawing that line that I'm still your mom, I'm still the parent, but we can have a conversation. And when you have a conversation with a child, it's what it is. It's conversation. It's two ways.
Yeah.
It's not just you need to do this, you need to do this. I told you to do this. Why haven't you done this yet? Come on. It can't be any of that. It has to be, my understanding was we were supposed to get this done this week. Is there some way that I can help you accomplish that goal? Much more positive, and the child doesn't feel like a failure or a disappointment to you. They feel like, oh, you know what, mom, I've got to type this paper up and I just don't have time. But if I had the time, I could get what I need to done for you too, a letter of recommendation or whatever. And you can easily say, listen, and I have not done this, but you can say, you know what? Why don't you take your phone out and transcribe your paper? Talk into your phone, download it into Word, and then, submit it. It's a huge time saver. It frees up that huge chunk of time that they would spend typing, but now you've created an alternative that's not as daunting or overwhelming or stressful. So there are methods as parents that we can employ that can help alleviate some of that stress.
It's amazing how technology enables us to be so creative. I was
Yeah.
tutoring the other day and someone said, Siri, how do you spell? And I said, stop.
Yeah.
And they don't realize, as I'm like, who's your best friend? Google. I said, yes, if you need to know some specific fact, just especially with like the math, some websites tell you like step by step, and we
Yeah.
never had that back,
No.
in the dinosaur ages. Like we had to reserve a library book, do the card catalog thing. I mean, now if you just apply yourself and use the resources, I mean, half the stress, right? But like you said, it's just so daunting, and if we become allies and take that away, I mean, you make it sound so simple. I know it's not simple, but I think if we have that mindset shift where
Yeah.
failure is okay,
Yeah.
we're not here to be perfect, and just like you said, it really is the social skills, and not all about, we must succeed because I don't know if you years ago this valedictorian said, I know how to, do exactly what my teacher tells me to, but you put me in the real world and I'm scared because I only know what teachers instruct me to do. I don't know anything else. And that was such an enlightening speech.
Isn't it interesting? First of all, what wise words from an 18-year-old. to have that much depth to understand that they are programmed to only take instruction and regurgitate it back. That's not what we want for our children. And so it goes back to building that relationship with your child and seeing them as a human being and guiding them versus forcing them or telling them. They have their own thoughts of what they want to be. And, I know, and in Asia, you can only be three things, right? You can be a doctor, lawyer, engineer, and if you're a woman, you're a teacher, right? So those are the only four outlets that you have. But we don't live in the 1970s anymore. We live in 2022, where you can literally create your own path of a profession, and it's accepted, and it is acceptable to be out of the box. But we don't teach out of the box. We teach in the box. And so if we're parenting in the box, then we are not creating those world, global, paradigm shifting children. And that's how we make a change in the world. So that C is not going to make a difference, but teaching them to think critically is much more beneficial, not only for them, but for society.
Wow. Thank you so much. I mean, this has been so enlightening. I think parents, please, how do we follow you? Give us
Oh,
your,
yeah. Oh my gosh, I feel like I'm on everything, and I need to get off some things. So I am on Twitter, I am on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Feel
and,
free to follow
and what's
me.
your, what do they look for? Is it under?
Edu me, and you can also go to my website, which is edu-me.net, and you can find all my links there as well as my TED Talk and my book.
Yeah, you must watch his TED Talk. Such a powerful presentation in such a short amount of time. So it's not like you need an hour to watch it. But thank you so much. I know that you have a lot going on, and I really appreciate it. We need to connect off the air one day and just keep in touch, because I just really, really look up to you.
Well, thank you, Karen. It is an honor to be here, and I really appreciate you asking me to do this. It has been tremendous amount of fun.
Thank you. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank
Okay,
you.
bye.